And for more on the RNC, we are joined by Trump Campaign Deputy Communications Director Caroline Sunshine. Thank you so much for joining us, giving us a little look ahead. Bill Melugin did a fabulous job there talking about how the RNC is getting a little bit of spotlight on Republicans this week. We shall see. There's been this dark cloud, a lot of drama and suspense over on the Democratic side. What are the Republicans going to do to take a little bit of that, sunshine, if you will?
Absolutely. Well, we couldn't be prouder to have President Trump as our nominee. He has unified the Republican Party behind him, inspired our voters, also inspiring voters well outside of our base. You saw that new platform that President Trump was intricately involved in crafting for the RNC. And you saw at the top, it said this platform is dedicated to the forgotten men and women of America, which is exactly who this convention is dedicated to as well, and who President Trump has been fighting for ever since 2015 when he came down that escalator. Look, President Trump is here to bring hope to the American people who, as you mentioned, have had to suffer under Joe Biden for the last 4 years, and certainly the last 2 weeks, as the Biden campaign has attempted to do cleanup on aisle 46, if you know what I mean. So this convention, we are highlighting the American people themselves. We're going to hear from people who have been affected by Joe Biden's chaos and disorder. We're honored to have some of Rachel Morin's family with us who will be speaking. We're honored to have culture influencers, yes, like Amber Rose with us. President Trump continues to make inroads with voters, like I said, who are well outside of the Republican Party base. I'm also looking forward to seeing the young men from the UNC fraternity. Your viewers may remember just a couple of months ago, Joe Biden allowed protests, if you can really call them that, to occur on our college campuses. And these gentlemen were brave enough to hold up our flag, stand for our ideals. President Trump continues to make inroads with young voters, particularly young men. And so not only is President Trump and his winning message going to be on full display, but so are the American people that he loves so very much.
Yeah, a lot of the suspense on the Democratic side right now is this long, drawn-out well-being check that's going on around President Biden, from governors to House members, all checking in and seeing how he's doing. On the Republican side, the big suspense is around former President Trump's potential vice presidential pick. Can you give us any insight? Do you have any sort of scoop or hint that you could give us?
Well, Molly, since it's just you and me, I'll say, no, I'm just kidding. Of course, right. I'm just kidding. Look, I would say, of course, that the only person who knows who President Trump will select, as well as when he will announce, is, of course, President Donald J. Trump. But you make an excellent point. This just couldn't be another point of contrast between our campaign and the decline and disarray of the Democrat Party and Joe Biden. Our campaign is fielding endless questions, endless speculation on who President Trump is going to select for his vice president, versus the Democrats in disarray are having discussions, I guess, on if their VP nominee is going to replace their nominee. But look, whoever President Trump selects, he understands how high the stakes are for this country. As I mentioned, he's the leader of our party, but he's also pledged to be a president for all Americans, and he is going to select someone who will be an excellent partner to him in supporting his mission to make our country great, safe, strong, and wealthy
I had to try. Yep, I had to try. Another contrast, the Democrats right now looking at money from donors that's potentially frozen, may not come in, may be shifting to House and congressional races. We'll see. But there's a headline out of Bloomberg that Musk, Elon Musk, of course, has donated to Trump, tapping fortune to swing 2024 race. Now, Fox Business talks a little bit more about this, saying essentially there's been an undisclosed amount given to a pro-Trump group, America PAC, essentially. So that is, in theory, how the money is going. What does that mean when you're seeing big donations coming in and a unified party right now? Where do you feel like that leaves your stance?
Well, as you mentioned, for the Democrats, the message from the likes of George Clooney has been, I would like my money back. And I think that's also the message the American people have for Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. They would like some of their money back, too. It's been a rough 4 years in Joe Biden's economy. He's somehow managed to create an economy that I think makes Jimmy Carter's look like a lightweight. The American people have experienced stagnant wages and prices that are soaring on just about any household item you can name. So I think the American people would like their money back, too. However, as you pointed out, another clear point of contrast, President Trump continues to raise millions of dollars. And it's not just about the amount of money that is raised, as you mentioned, it's about who it's coming from. We are seeing small dollar donations from voters in all 50 states. We're seeing it from demographic groups that, like I said, are inside the Republican Party, but also outside of our traditional voter base. And it's because President Trump's message to make America great again is resonating with everybody. And I might also add, President Trump continues to make inroads with voters in different demographics, but partly that's because whether you are black, white, or brown in this country, everybody's money is green and nobody has enough of it. So we couldn't be more grateful for the support that we are experiencing, and we look forward to more. As President Trump always says, the best is yet to come.
Yeah, and the final thing, real quick, we don't have a lot of time, but there's a Wall Street Journal headline about President Biden facing, as he faces calls to withdraw, that the focus for the Republicans is beginning to shift more to Vice President Kamala Harris, sometimes in racist and sexist ways as they make this argument here, the Wall Street Journal article talks about. What do you make of that argument? Is it time for Republicans to look more at the vice president, and do you think they're doing it in a racist or sexist way?
Absolutely not. I think that's just more misinformation coming from the fake news media. As we have seen, the story here with Joe Biden's decline and cleanup on aisle 46 the last 2 weeks isn't just about Joe Biden's decline. It is, of course, about the way the liberal mainstream media has lied and concealed the truth about Joe Biden's health to the American people. They don't have any credibility left with the American people. So that is just purely more disinformation, more excuses coming from the Democrat Party and liberal mainstream media. Look, the Democrats are able to put up whoever they would like. Maybe they'll stick with Joe Biden. Maybe they'll pick somebody more active outside of the hours of 10 and 4 p.m. But Kamala Harris has a record of her own. Not only is Joe Biden's record her record, she has been the border czar of Biden's border bloodbath. She has failed at every task the Biden administration has given her. She is a California liberal. That is my home state. I know that quite well. And look, nobody has had more of a front row seat to Joe Biden's decline and been party to concealing that from the American people than Kamala Harris, who has, of course, been in those West Wing rooms with him and had that front row seat. So, like I said,
Caroline
we're not worried.
It is, yeah. It has been wonderful to talk to you on the cusp of what maybe the Republicans a chance to grab a few of those headlines this week. Thank you so much for giving us a look ahead as the RNC is about to get underway. We appreciate it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.